What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jackson. We are finally free of Frank Reich's dumbass play calling powers here. And yes, sir, Frank Reich has finally been fired. We also got our asses kicked by the Patriots, but that's not important. I'm going to go through the game recap real quick just so we can do it. So basically, both teams traded punts for the longest time, and then the second quarter, the Patriots kicked a field goal, then they got the ball back, they kicked another field goal, and then they blocked a punt of ours, and they scored a touchdown, and then we went down before half and missed a field goal, so it was 13-0 at halftime. And then in the second half, we started playing a little bit better. The defense forced a fumble on Jacoby Myers, and then we turned that into a field goal, making the score 13-3, and then the Patriots kicked a field goal, then they got the ball back, kicked another field goal, and then late in the game, Sam Ehlinger threw a pick six, and that made the score 26-3, and then nothing else happened, and that was the final score. My thoughts on the game, who really cares about my thoughts on the game? We played like shit, that's all y'all need to know, and don't blame Ehlinger, the whole team played terrible, but the reason why y'all are here right now is to hear my reaction to Frank Reich being fired. Now, Frank Reich as a person, great guy, great, phenomenal guy. I don't have an issue with him as a person at all, but as a head coach, he was awful. He was just not good, not a good head coach. He needs to go back to being an offensive coordinator where he didn't call the plays, because he can't play call to save his life. And for those of you that are going to start being like, well, you rode his coattails. No, I didn't. For those of you that have been here for a while, know that I've wanted Frank Reich fired for like the last 2 years. Like after that playoff game against Buffalo in 2020, I've wanted him fired since then. Like it's been ridiculous. And I'm just glad that it finally happened. I'm a little surprised it happened midseason, but I'm glad it happened midseason. The only negative is that tells me the Colts are phoning it in for the year, but I'm okay with that because that needs to happen. We're not a good team. We're not going to contend for anything. If we were to make it to the playoffs, we would get blown out in the wild card round. So I would rather just have a terrible record and have a top 10 pick and get one of those quarterbacks that are just that good, because like I said last week, I think Ehlinger's a great quarterback, but I haven't seen enough for him yet. He didn't play well against the Patriots, and I think that he needs to do better to play well, but I'm very glad that Frank Reich is out of a job. I'm so glad that he is gone. I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Frank Reich, his tenure in Indianapolis was very interesting. His first year, the Colts started 1-5, but we turned it around in a 10-6, made the playoffs and won a playoff game, and Frank Reich had everyone fooled into thinking he was a good head coach. But he had Andrew Luck and a phenomenal defense, and that was the peak the offensive line was. And Andrew Luck had a career year, and then Andrew Luck retired, and then everything kind of went downhill after that. His second year, he went 7-9 with Jacoby Brissett after a 5-2 start and collapsed midseason, and started to get a little concerned. But we were thinking, it's just because he had Jacoby Brissett. He didn't have Andrew Luck. That's why they collapsed, because they weren't ready for that. And then in 2020, he had Phillip Rivers, and then went 11-5, made the playoffs. And we're thinking, all right, that's good. And then that playoff game, he made a lot of dumb decisions, and that ended up costing us the game. And that's when we all started to doubt him. And then the 2021 was Carson Wentz. We had a slow start to the season, started 1-4, and then we rallied, had a nice midseason run. We're 9-6, had a 98% chance at making the playoffs, and then collapsed in the last 2 weeks and missed the playoffs, and including a bad loss to the Raiders, not a bad loss to the Raiders, a loss to a Raiders team that was fighting for the playoffs, and we lost on the last play of the game. And then Jacksonville, we completely fell apart, couldn't get anything going, and then we thought that Carson Wentz was the problem, and so we traded him away, and turns out it wasn't him, because this year we got Matt Ryan, and we were all excited. We thought that we were going to the Super Bowl, and We saw how that turned out. Had the worst offense in the league, and then Matt Ryan got benched after the Tennessee game. And then Sam Ehlinger came in. He played pretty good against the Commanders, but we couldn't get it done. And then everyone had an awful performance against the Patriots, and we are sitting at 3-5-1 and have just fired our head coach. And we're celebrating. So I know that there's going to be people saying that we're ungrateful, that Frank Reich did a great job. No, he didn't. He has not done a great job. Especially this year, we all saw it coming. It's just no one thought that it was going to happen midseason because the Colts are not the team that fire a head coach midseason. Like when we fired Marcus Brady, that was a surprise. And now it looks like we're starting to clean house. Gus Bradley still has a job because the defense has been really good this year. They've been the reason we've won 2 of our 3 games. So, I mean, it's just the defense has played really well. That's been the only bright spot of the team. It's just our offensive struggles, and a lot of that is rooted to Frank Reich, who has been doing the play calling. So, it's good to see him finally get fired. And, you know, I wish him the best in the future. He is a great person, but he's just not a good head coach. And this is something that both sides just needed to happen. And Jim Irsay has been wanting it to happen, I'm sure. He did say that Frank Reich's job was safe after Sam Ehlinger took over as a starter, but we all knew that probably wasn't true. He's just saying that because you don't call out your head coach and say that his job's on the line to the media, but his job's been on the line for a long time, and he had like the worst showing against New England, and that's what did it. I think that game right there got Frank Reich fired. I mean, in that Patriots game alone, he had a lot of bad play calls. Like on a 4th and 1, he called a toss. He called a toss play to Deion Jackson, and it got stuffed. Like, you run that up the middle. And then on a 3rd and 1, he called a fullback run with Kylan Granson, our smallest tight end. He tried to run up the middle. If you want to call a fullback run with one of your tight ends, use Jelani Woods or Mo Alley Cox. I mean, come on. Like, they could literally just lay down and have the first. But no, you gave it to Kylan Granson. Like, this is a move that needed to happen. And I'm not sure who's going to take over as the interim. At the recording of this video, they haven't announced that yet. My guess would either be special teams coordinator Bubba Ventrone or defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley does have head coaching experience, so wouldn't be surprised if it's him, but a lot of times when interims take over, it's the special teams coach that does it, so we'll see. I don't know if they have announced that yet. At the recording of this video, they haven't, so if they have, I'll edit it in here, but at the recording of this video, they haven't, so we'll see. And next year, we have a job opening, and I'm just hoping that it's either Eric Bieniemy or Sean Payton. Those are the 2 I want. I especially want Sean Payton. You want an aggressive coach, you go get Sean Payton. Sean Payton kicked an onside kick in the Super Bowl at the start of the second half. Like, I trust me. I remember that Super Bowl very well. But, yeah, that's who I want. I want Sean Payton. I think he could lead us in the right direction. And, yeah, I think that this year we're phoning it in. I think we're tanking. And we're going to go ahead and get a good draft pick and hopefully draft our QB of the future because I'm not sold on Ehlinger. I know I've talked really positively about him, but I'm not sold on him just yet. He hasn't proven to me that he can be a franchise guy. He needs to prove a lot more before we're ready to take that chance on him. So we'll see what happens. And we play the Raiders next week. So that game is going to be a shit show. Both of those teams are not good. The Raiders can play kind of in the first half, but then they can't finish games. They're also poorly coached. So it's gonna be a very bad game. I expect the Colts to lose that one, and I would be okay with that. I'm at the point now where I'm okay with losses. I'm just excited to see the team play and know that there's not much at stake because at this point in I just kicked my tripod. At this point in the season, we're not gonna make a playoff run or anything. So I'm just ready to watch these games and not have to worry because I know that we're probably just gonna tank the rest of the season out and go for a good draft pick. And yeah, that's basically all I really got to say. I'm just glad I have the Pacers to watch, even though they're probably not doing anything this year either. But they're fun to watch. This Colts team isn't fun to watch, so I don't know. I'm still going to keep making videos, and yeah, I'm just glad that Frank Reich is out of a job. I'm just so glad that we fired him, and I don't know how I've rambled for 10 minutes about this whole thing, but that's basically going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications, and follow everything in the description box. See you guys next time. Bye.